Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction. It is Tuesday, Movie Review Tuesday. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by the Rumble, Joseph Hulbert. Joe, how are you today?
I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to breaking down the swamp fight today. That's what we're doing, right? We're doing
I
that?
mean
Okay, good.
this
Yes.
this film had elements of the swamp fight, so yeah, we
Yeah,
can we can talk about
there's a
that.
lot here. I'm really excited, Jeremy. We have not spoken about this film off air. We're going into this blind, so to speak. I think you tweeted about it a lot, but I have not seen said tweets.
Okay.
We are blind here. So I think this is about to be an all-time show that will end with all-time ratings. Be ready, folks. This is going to be a good one.
This might be an all-time week because to preview our Thursday show, we have a double turn. We have your
Yep.
mom watching the swamp fight and giving her review, and
Yes.
who knows what else. But just those two things alone, I mean, how could you not tune into the Thursday show?
Yeah, this is a distraction. I mean, it's crazy to me, Jeremy, because I know our audience is thinking, man, I'm not that interested in distraction. They just did Christmas. How can they top Christmas? Do they have like a New Year's planned in July? Well, folks, it looks like we do, because this week looks way better. And we have Scott Steiner versus Samoa Joe review, by the
Yes,
way. We have that. So, blockbuster show, but first, it is the plane of money that is Money Plane. Would you agree? This is big time.
it is Money Plane. That is what we are reviewing today. This was my choice. I was very excited to get into Money Plane. I'd heard nothing but great things from highly respected sources on the Twitter. So here we go. It stars Edge, Kelsey Grammer, some other people who aren't as important as Edge and Kelsey Grammer. And look, this movie is exactly what it promises to be. It is a plane where money is exchanged through various means, and you take bets and stuff. Edge is, I guess he's a thief, right? He's a thief.
Yeah.
He's got his crew. The opening scene is they're trying to steal some art from a museum. This scene is god awful. Edge, the first thing, Edge is talking with his guy in the truck, and he's like, "Oh yeah, go to the left," and Edge goes to the right. Like, what is
Yes.
he doing? And the guy's like, "No, your left. What other left is there?" It's not like the guy is in front of him to saying, "Oh, it's my left." He's walking, and he says, "Go to," and Edge right here, right here. This scene, I was like, "All right, we're in for a ride, folks. We are in for a ride." If this world class criminal thief does not know his left from his right.
I mean, like in fear of over focusing on that one bit, I thought it was going to be like a comedy after that. I mean, it is a comedy in a lot of ways.
Yes, it is.
But like, I thought he was going to be like a legitimately bad thief that still stays in the game somehow. But he's not. Like for the rest of the film, he's awesome at being a thief. Would you
Yeah.
agree? Like in the on the money plane job. By the way, man, these every week I say this. The simplicity of the films we review is so beautiful. The fact that at the 10-minute mark you can pause the film and be like, I know exactly what's about to happen for the rest of this film. And like
Yes.
you're content with that. You can sit back. But one thing, one little detail before we get into the scene in which the money plane is explained, which is a all-time scene. The opening credits did run at like 15 minutes into this film, right? I'm
Yeah.
not making this up.
No.
Like it felt like it. Okay, okay, good. I just wanted to make it clear.
No, because
But
they did the scene with the museum and they get away. By the way, we later find out that the museum was tipped off that this robbery was going to happen, and that's why the painting wasn't there anymore. And they still let these people just like get away. Like what is this museum doing? They had security guards with machine guns, which is pointed
yes.
out, and they still just these folks just got away like it was nothing. They were tipped off, Joseph. How do they not just plan
Well,
for all of this?
but Edge had Plan B, right?
Oh, that's
That was
true.
why.
Yes,
Yeah, because
Edge.
he has. What's the three rules, Jeremy? Please, can you remember the three rules?
The first one is have a good team. I
Yep.
don't remember the second one. The third one is always have a plan B.
Oh man, that's the one I didn't remember too. That's a real shame. Okay, for the sake of this review, there's only two rules. But it is made clear to us that Plan B is very important. It saves him here, and then we meet Frasier Crane, which is what I'll refer to him as this whole review.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's what this is. Edge versus Frasier Crane as they battle about a heist of a money plane, and he's like I can't put into words how great he is in this in every way that is not conventionally great, but in this scene, it's like he gets more kind of outlandish as it goes on. Would you agree? But in this scene, it is extraordinary. Just the headshot of him explaining the money plane to Edge. It was like a fever dream. But this was insane. I loved every minute of this first. I mean, I loved every minute of the whole film. Spoiler alert. But this opening 10 was extraordinary.
His meeting with Frasier, as they explain, I was completely lost on this, by the way. Apparently Edge has some debt to owe somebody, and that's why he had to steal this painting. But then Frasier has bought the debt off of Edge.
Yes.
But now he needs him to go on the money plane to repay this debt. And once the debt is over, he can get out of the game. Of course, Edge wants to retire. He's out the game. He's done.
Yeah.
I don't know what his last big job was, but he's done with it. This whole scene, I was lost on it, but my God, Frasier in this film, this is the best performance we've watched, right?
I mean, it probably isn't, but yes, I'm saying yes, because he's like, it's almost like he starts the film thinking it'll just be a bad film. And by the end of his parts of the film, it's as though he's aware he's creating like a comedy for our podcast. Like he goes from just being like, okay, random B movie, to by the end of it being like, this is about to be hilarious and could be memed to death funny. And it is, there's some lines in here which I'm sure you've got. I've got a couple too, but yeah, that's great. And by the way, like the classic plot line of he wants to get out the game. I was in awe of like the 90-second wholesome Edge as a family man scene with the nice music in the background. He's like playing with his kid, and it's like, oh, he wants out, folks. He wants to just spend time with his family. It's so just like blunt and on the nose that I have to admire every step of it. It's wonderful.
They had Edge wants to get out the game. They have think about your family, using the family as like, you better continue this or I'll kill your family or whatever. And then the very end, spoiler alert, Edge gets like, oh, come back, here's your nice final score, go into retirement. Yeah, it's all very cliche, but it fits for this movie.
Yes, and by the way, so they do the wholesome scene, so he's agreed he's going to do this money plane deal, and he goes home and spends time with his family the last night or whatever before he goes off, and like in the night, he like has a dream of Frasier delivering the speech, but like, it's the same speech, but Frasier is in like a different setting while he delivers it. And this is when we start to ramp up the levels of Frasier Crane greatness, because he's like a level of evil here. And the thing that's amazing is obviously we find out in the end that he was the one who set them up, right?
Which was very obvious.
Yeah, so I was sitting there like, wait, was that supposed to be a surprise? Like, he's so obviously evil and awful throughout the whole film. I love the idea that we were supposed to be like, yeah, but honor among thieves, he's not screwing Edge here. But yeah, and that scene, which is it's like a dream montage, but not really, because it's a thing that Frasier actually said, is amazing. It's incredible. The Frasier Edge dynamic is genuinely the stuff this podcast is made of. Would you agree with that? This is like peak distraction film review level stuff.
Yes, I listened to a bunch of Edge interviews. By the way, rule 2 was there are how things are and how things appear to be. I don't know what that rule means, but that's rule 2. Edge, I listened to a bunch of Edge interviews promoting this movie, and he just spoke so highly of Frasier, and he was just like, there's my dream to act alongside Frasier. I called my mom when I learned that I was doing this, because apparently Edge's mom is a big fan of Frasier, or I can't remember if his mom passed away, if it was Beth Phoenix's, but regardless, his mom was a big fan of Frasier, and he's like, oh, it was so, like, it was just a dream come true. I just picked his brain for hours and everything. You could tell Edge, like, those were his best scenes, is him just playing off of Frasier. And Frasier was he was on form from really this opening scene, and then definitely by the end of this film. Frasier was just absolutely phenomenal on this. When they were sitting down and Frasier was explaining the money plane, this was the This was the scene that I was like, all right, we've got to watch this film right now. Like, we just can't put this off any longer. When he talks about it's a money plane, you can bet on anything. You want to bet on a dude fucking an alligator? You can bet on a dude fucking an alligator. When I saw that clip, I was like, all right, we got to watch this. Like, we just have to. We got to bet on dudes fucking alligators.
Hang on a second, okay? I need to go back. So you said that Edge claimed he spent hours picking his Frasier Crane's brain. Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yes.
About what? Like,
about
in psychology?
About acting, yeah. About the psychology of acting.
Man, I don't agree. I feel like he said... Now, look, granted, this was probably shot a year before, but I'm just doing it for the sake of the bit. I am assuming that Edge sat down with Frasier Crane and was like, I need to show you a match that was very polarizing. And I want you to tell me if you think it came across like a legitimate fight or it was a very long, boring WrestleMania match. You're like, before you give me your opinion, just know that Bret Hart thought it was a very, very believable fist fight. Okay, Frasier Crane? We're going to watch this together. That's what I'm assuming happened. I could be wrong, but just be careful, Jeremy, when you transcribe these interviews. Watch for him to start saying, Bret Hart loved it and so did Frasier Crane. Just watch for that, okay? Because I think it's coming at some point or another.
I now want Frasier's take on this Edge match. I want his take on both of the Edge matches. So we always invite the wrestlers on here to give their take on the movie. Now we're going to invite Frasier Crane on here to give his take on wrestling. That is what we're doing for this week. Frasier, if you're out there, if you're listening, we know you are. Come on the show, watch and review the greatest wrestling match ever and the greatest fist fight ever with us, and give us your thoughts on it.
I'm going to go a step further. I don't want just his thoughts on those two matches. I actually want him to be a full-time third part of this podcast. I want him to come on every week and give his wrestling takes. He's probably as interested as we are at this point, right? So let's bring him on. Let's get his general opinions. But I'm with you. For a start, we'll start with the Edge stuff because he has an emotional connection with the Edge stuff, clearly. After the moments they shared here on this, just absolute masterpiece. An absolute masterpiece.
So Edge gets his crew. It's the same crew he always has. The one guy is very upset that he's going to be left on the ground and not going to be on the money plane, which I don't blame him. If you tell me there's going to be a money plane and I'm not going to be on it, instead I got to do tech stuff from the ground, I'm going to be very upset as well. They go on the money plane, and Joseph, it's the money plane. That's the best way. They've got the Lawrence brothers there describing what's going on, just saying, yeah, you can bet on all that. There's a casino, there's a sports book, you can bet on pretty much whatever you want to, except the flight attendants. You cannot bet on them. They are off limits. One guy does not respect this at all, but they do have ladies to keep the gentleman company if they would like that. I'm sure you can make bets on that stuff as well, but it's a money plane. You can just money transfers, Joseph.
Okay, so this, like, if you're listening to this, you've never seen the film, which I assume is the case. I don't know how much traction this has got. Hopefully a lot, I don't know. Like, imagine the visual that I'm laying out here. It is a plane that has been turned into like a casino for criminals.
Yes.
And I want you to ramp up the volume on that idea by like 500. And that is what you'll see when this plane is as awesome visually as it sounds conceptually. Would you agree with that? And I have some stuff here, Jeremy. You're correct. Okay, so firstly, who was his friend going by the name McGillicuddy?
Yeah.
Was that a deep cut for us?
Was it? I don't know.
I don't know. I sometimes think because these things are made purely for our podcast that they are wrestling references thrown our way. But I don't know.
Do you think was it a reference to Michael McGillicuddy? Is that what you're thinking?
I think okay. So. I'm certain. I'm confirming it now.
All right.
I will ask Frasier when he comes on. I'm sure he'll know all about the incredible career of Michael McGillicuddy. You were correct in saying that there were females there to be like utilised, but it was phrased as, and I quote here, a wonderful variety of companions was the correct phrasing. And there is a guy on here, and I am not talking about J.R. Crockett, which is another reference thrown our way.
That was 100% thrown our way.
Yeah, like, he's awesome, sure. This other moustached fellow is like the highlight of the whole film for me, aside from Frasier Crane. Now, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here.
I know who
everyone knows I love a very blunt face punch. There is one that this man uncorks as a guy asks him if like wants a drink that is borderline Suburban Commando levels, Mr. Nanny levels, whatever the film was. Dude, when he's like talking to, what is it that happens? Like a waiter comes up and speaks, just punches him in the face for no apparent reason. Is that what happened here?
Yeah, and then he gets yelled at. He's like, "Get your guy under control," because he's partners with another guy who's on a big kind of like muscular guy, and he's grabbing the flight attendant's arm and stuff. He's very clearly I guess a misogynist, but just really just an overall prick. I think he hates men and women equally. And he grabs like the flight attendant's arm and he gets like a warning. And then after that, the guy tries to serve him a drink and just punches him in the face. And then he gets scolded for this. And it doesn't really like change anything. Too. Yeah.
It's all still. And it just does one big cut and he just punches the guy in the face. And he has the quote of the film, I would argue. No, not the quote of the film. Frasier has the quote of the film. But this is high. This is up there in the rankings. His quote, as he's told by one of Edge's cohorts that he's not allowed where he is. He says, "Rules were meant to be fucked." Which is funny. He says it so confidently that I actually would. I don't know what our setup is now on this podcast, if I still have something underneath my name, but like I would like it to now just say, "Rules were meant to be forever." Because I actually now believe that. I may say it to the grave. So just a shout out to that character who also, in the end, when we get there, has an all-time death scene where he just like freezes like a mannequin and gets shot and killed many times, stabbed. So there's just some wonderful villainy here, right? Just mischievous characters that are not likable anyway. And Edge, by the way, who is supposed to be like undercover, is like just actively telling these guys they're assholes. I have no idea why he was doing this. Do you? What was the point of this? Why was he sitting at the table being like, "Yeah, and you did this terrible thing too"? Wasn't he also supposed to be a criminal? I didn't understand that.
Yeah, but Edge is he's a family man trying to get out the game though, so he has morals as a criminal. Even though like people like have heard of Edge, are like, "Oh my god, like you are just like one of the top notch guys." I mean, I guess that's why you're on the money plane. But speaking of this money plane, by the way, as Frasier is explaining it, he's like, "Yeah, it's a big thing in like the underground world, but I guess everyone seems to know about it." And it can't, they can't take it down because it like only flies over international waters. So I'm thinking like, oh, so it just never lands. But then we see it's like this giant ass airport in an undisclosed location, I guess. But it's super busy. Like there's like 3 million cars going in and out and stuff. It's a very busy like airport terminal here. But apparently no one knows about this.
Yeah, like it's while you're on the plane, until things get very heavy, it appears just like a game show being taped for television. I don't understand why this is being framed as some like super secret. I mean, as it starts to escalate, I would understand why they would like to keep some of this stuff secret. I mean, are you ready to go into the demise of Mr. J.R. Crockett, who has a scene that, I mean, it went on for approximately 4 hours, where they're doing the Russian roulette deal, right? And it's like, neither of them will go, and then, I mean, I'll pass the ball to you on this one. This
ruled. This was absolutely awesome because, like, I thought it was fairly obvious that he was gonna go first, and the first shot he was gonna kill himself with, but it still paid off, and it was amazing. Like, I knew it was coming, and I still popped so big for it. So he wins the Texas Hold'em game. It starts off very simple. They just play a game of Texas Hold'em, like anything playing casino. And then, because he wins that, he gets to choose the next game, and he chooses Russian roulette with McGillicuddy. And they're going back and forth of who gets to go first. And apparently, J.R. Crockett has won this game before. He can never lose, he says. I don't lose at Russian roulette. And so he gets the choice of letting McGillicuddy go first, and he's like, but I'll go. And they go back and forth after he finds out he has the choice. He's like, forget it, I'll go. I can't lose. Boom. And then he kills himself. And I cracked up so hard at this, even though I was waiting for it to come.
I mean, there's a couple things to this, like, this film is all or nothing with the score too, right? Like the music while they do this scene where they're like passing the gun back and forth. Again, it feels like it goes on for years, and then when he finally does it, he's like, "I can't let you shoot himself in the head." Smash cut away from that scene. Like it's like blood splatters next scene. Like it's amazing how perfectly this is like. See, here's the thing. I didn't think it was laughably bad in a mean way. Like I thought this was a perfect example of it's like schlock in the most enjoyable way possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was. I didn't feel like I was laughing at them. I felt I was laughing with the Edge and the Frasier Crane. Is my point. And this was a perfect example. It was perfectly like camp and silly, and I loved it.
It was great. McGillicuddy is very freaked out by everything that's going on the money play. He's uncomfortable by what's going on. Should we explain? Because I need you to explain this to me. What their plan was, like on the money plane. Well, apparently they had to steal money, and Edge got on as like the main criminal guy, and then McGillicuddy is like his associate. But Edge, after losing like the first hand of Texas Hold'em, he's like, yeah, I don't feel like playing anymore. Hand all my funds over to my associate. And so Edge is gonna like take control of the plane and be the pilot. And then the female, she's acting as a flight attendant. She's gonna go into like the server room to hack the money. And then McGillicuddy is just again the associate, kind trying to keep everybody distracted. This plan seemed, I don't know. I didn't quite get the plan. Why did Edge need to be a pilot? What did that accomplish?
Wasn't they going to land the? Didn't he say like we can't do something with the plane? What was the situation with the guy on the ground who said we can't do it now or something? And he was like, I'm gonna have to keep it up more. I don't know. He said something like that. I assume that was the idea. Why would he have to be the pilot unless he was deciding where they got off? Right? Surely.
Yeah. I mean that's. But then okay, if you're the pilot and you take out the pilot, I don't know why Edge needed to be the pilot. Like, it just said, why couldn't he go and help the flight attendant girl, like, steal the money and stuff? They could have got things done much faster that way. Edge just, maybe he needed access to the cockpit so he could help navigate her. That's the only thing I could think of. Because there is one point where the flight attendant gets found out and she's like cut off communications. And so Edge has to like flip a switch to cut off communications. But like if Edge was just down there with her, they could have just stopped this guy and it would have been fine. So I don't know why he needed to be best pilots in the world, by the way. Edge is just an amazing pilot because why wouldn't he be? And the money plane has the best pilots in the world. We're told this.
Do we know what the money plane like trip is supposed to be as far as destination and time? Did we get told that, Jeremy?
No, I don't think. It just flies over. See, I thought it just... So this is my idea. When Frasier is talking about the money plane, it says, oh, no one knows about this. It just flies over international waters. I thought it just stayed in the air. And then, like, don't ask me how it gets fueled up, but I guess the same way it gets passengers. I thought it just stays in the air, and you get transported to it via, like, helicopter, and you make, like, some exchange in the air from like helicopter to plane. This is what I was picturing in my head.
That's so much better.
Like I don't want the money plane to land. Why is it landing? Especially when they show the shot of like this terminal and it looks like it's LaGuardia or something with all the traffic coming in and out of it. So that's what I thought it should have been. And this is how you can refuel the plane, I guess, as well. You just have a helicopter with fuel and you just run a lot. It's like Speed. If you've seen Speed, that's how they refuel the bus. They just have another bus run alongside it.
I'm actually now. I initially thought this was a perfect film, and now I'm left very frustrated that you did not make this film. I'm very mad now.
Oh, Money Plane 2. Money Plane 2,
yes,
Joseph.
I'm sure we're getting there. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. But before we get there, we cannot just say Edge becomes the pilot because he does like a full like James Bond style fight scene with the co-pilot who. I didn't imagine this, right? Like, Edge gets in the cockpit and he's like, oh man, fucking co-pilot. Because the co-pilot's just standing there ready to fight him. And he's like the biggest, toughest co-pilot man ever. It rules. He keeps hitting him in the head. He won't sell. It was, it was glorious, Jeremy. This, honestly, when you were, like, saying about how much fun this was going to be, I was like, oh, it's going to just suck. No. This is actually great fun. This really is great fun, I have to say. Tremendous.
The fight scene, I mean, he easily takes out, like, the co-pilot, and then...
He stands back up, though.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
He keeps hitting him, but he finally takes him out. You know, Edge takes care of business. And, you know, they're fighting, and the plane gets swerved, and the concierge, the Matthews brothers, or the Lawrence brothers, they have to be like, oh, don't worry, best pilots in the world. Like, even though it's swerving all over the place. Like, wouldn't you go check on that and see what's going on? Like, if you're going to claim that these are the best pilots in the world and they do, like, 2 or 3 swerves, wouldn't you be like, let me see what's actually up in
Yeah.
this cockpit here. But they don't care. They trust their guys, and there's something to be said for that.
Swerve is not an overstatement in your part. Like, the plane literally shifts like this, and guys' drinks are falling out of their glass and stuff. Like, it's so over the top and spectacular, and sometimes you're left just sitting there like, but this is exactly what this should be, right?
Yes.
Like, this is 100% beat for beat what it should be, and then some, because then McGillicuddy, code names, pal, which is another thing we're going to get into, which is wonderful. He then starts betting on these games of just. How would you describe these, Jeremy? There's one that's called Man vs. Cobra. This is insanity now, what happens here. They're watching them on their phones and stuff. This was wild.
Here's how you describe them, Joseph. These games are the horror show at Money Plane. That's how you describe these games. We got Man vs. Cobra. We got just how quickly a man can get his skin ripped off by an alligator. I'm pretty sure is one of them. Another one of they're sitting at a table. It's how quickly this dude's just gonna die. They're basically just betting on death. That's what they're betting on.
Yeah, this is when we get the quote, which is another top tier quote from this film. When I was young, I chopped off arms for free. Direct quote. Direct quote from this film. I can't remember what the context was. It's in my notes though, and it was definitely said in Money Plane. Which again, another tick in the box for me when it comes to this film.
McGillicuddy is on a hot streak on these. Oh, yeah. They didn't even need to steal this money. McGillicuddy could have just kept racking up all these wins and then cashed out, and it would have been fine.
I didn't get this though. It didn't seem to me that he was doing anything. What was happening here, Jeremy? Well, I misunderstood what was going on.
He was just betting.
I didn't see. But when was he doing the bet? He looked confused what was even going on. He was just looking around very nervously.
Oh, he was, but the first one.
I saw that.
The man versus snake. After that, I don't know. They just did the things, and they said McGillicuddy won. So I believe him.
Yeah.
He just kept going. I guess because he kept winning, he kept getting to pick the next event. But I'm not sure he knew what the actual events were, which is a mistake on his part. But he kept betting on them, and he kept winning.
Rookie move on the Money Plane. By the way, we shouldn't, because while this is all going on, there's a scene in the middle, which is possibly my favourite scene, which is when Frasier Crane calls Edge in the middle of his mission, and he's just the biggest dick possible. He's so wonderful here, and he's making fun of Edge. He's code name. It's so good, and he's like, okay, you call me Colonel. Okay, that's fun. He's just glorious here, isn't he? This to me is when he makes the full transition to, oh, this film is that dumb. Okay, I can get that. Let me ramp this up a little bit. And it's just perfect. I love it.
Is this they have a couple of phone calls, but the one phone call I love is Frasier is in his house. He's just talking to this man, and he's yelling at him not to piss himself. He's don't you piss yourself. and then he's talking with Edge, and then he just shoots the man anyway, which great. And then they're talking code names and stuff. Later on in the film, Edge, of course, realizes that Frasier has set him up. His friend Harry tells him, who was semi-important, I think. But he tells him oh yeah, the museum thing was a setup. And then he learns that, oh, Frasier is the bad guy and all of this. There is one point where, and this was peak Edge, he calls back and he's like, hey, hold on, please. And then Frasier's just very dumbfounded. You called me. What do you mean, hold on? And Edge just puts him on hold. And then they come back on. And then Edge, of course, does this big reveal of yeah, I know it was you and everything. And then things kind of spiral from there. But Frasier just goes, is this when Frasier goes don't you talk, I'm the baddest motherfucker around here. I'm the baddest motherfucker.
I think that's the one with the piss. The piss one is insane. It cuts to him and he's like, "Don't you piss? Do not piss." And then he does this thing where, I assume his character is starting to be suspicious that Edge is onto his plan. And I may have imagined this, but I'm legitimately confident that Frasier Crane starts doing a lip quiver as he's uncertain of what's going on. Him selling everything is. It's so great. He's he's operating at 150 here for his normal tone, right? It's just It's brilliant. But yeah, "Don't you piss" is the actual best quote in this whole film, which is a feat because there's a lot of good ones in here, but that is next level.
Then he just shoots. Then he just shoots the guy, or his associate shoots the guy because
Yeah, and he
Frasier's
gets
like,
mad.
yeah. Frasier's like, will you shut this guy up? And the associate, his bodyguard, whoever he is, he's like, I got a way to shut him up. He shoots him in the head. A lot of headshots in this film, by the way, which, fine. That's the easiest way to kill a person, I would imagine. So if you're going to do it once, do it right.
Yeah, every time you think you've seen it all, like it'll ramp up another level. Like, the scene you mentioned where Edge like plays the music to cut off the audio system deal. You remember that thing where he was like, she said to him, cut it off, and he put the wrong button, or whatever he did. And she like rips that man's ears off.
Yeah.
It's actually happening. There's like a fight going on. It's like, okay, this is just a normal fight. They're fighting each other. This is cool. The woman's kind of kicking ass, and like, this big guy, and then she just pulls his ears off. And I'm like, oh, hang on a second, his ears are on. What's going on here?
That fight scene was amazing because it was like they were like humping in the middle. Like, I'm pretty sure he was trying to rape her. Because they do the like legs wrapped around type thing, and in the middle of that, she just she rips his fucking ears off, and it's amazing. They had the other scene where she like forced the guy's hand to grope her, and then he just killed. Then she just kills him.
The mustache guy. Right? That was the mustache man.
Yes.
And he like, I don't know what happens to this mustache man, but he becomes like just a silhouetted figure that gets murdered violently. I don't understand.
Stabbed like 300 times or something. It was weird.
But like with one cut, his whole body type has changed, and he's just like a cardboard cutout of a human getting stabbed violently, and he's not moving or anything. Because that's the scene when him and his big friend like get onto them, right, and they have to fight them. Is that what happened there? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the mustache man. He's not going to steal this show because Frasier Crane is here, and of course Edge. But man, is he good on that undercard, right? He's putting in some work here on the undercard. He's glorious throughout this whole film. Tremendous fun.
The flight attendant lady, she kicks ass, by the way, because the other guy beats up McGillicuddy and is ready to kill him. My favorite line, besides Frasier going over the top with "I'm the baddest motherfucker," my favorite was when the one dude comes into the schematics room or whatever room it is, and he's like, "Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar?"
Yes.
And the person's like, "Me?" He's like, "You stole the cookie."
He says it again. Yeah. He, by the way, again, this could be something I imagine, but he dies like the villain out of No Holds Barred.
Yeah,
right?
he just gets kicked into a bunch of wires and stuff, and then electrocutes. Yeah.
Man, the callbacks across this series of podcasts is amazing, right? Like, because my note here is literally just, and I don't even know if this is the guy's name, but I just put down, he died like Brill. This is the best thing ever. I think Brill was his name, and it was. I was so happy to see that. But yeah, it's not only is the concept great and the acting is hilarious, but the fact that they give us such just wildly violent deaths that come out of nowhere every single time they shock you. Like the one when the guy is cheating, he just gets shot like blank, just gets shot on the spot.
Yeah.
It sort of surprises you every time, even though by the end of it the body count is up to like 15. You're still like, oh man, this is violent. It's great.
They find out Frasier. I think this was the baddest motherfucker. I'm rewatching this film as we're doing this, by the way. So if you see me reach over here, I'm skipping through scenes. Like this movie was amazing to the point where I want to rewatch it on air, so I can get these details correct. When they find out, Edge is finally like, "Oh yeah, we found out it's you." Frasier has his guys. He sends them to the guy on the ground to kill him, but this is where Harry and his drone come in to save him. So I'm gonna redo this whole Frasier scene.
Oh no!
So Edge is talking about. What if I didn't work for you? There's subtitles on this, so I can just read it. I read a Braun promo to Joe off air, which was amazing, and now I'm gonna react.
That's actually true.
Yes. Edge is like, what if this money isn't yours? Here's where Frasier's getting pissed. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking with me? Edge is like, you think you're a badass, yeah? The criminals on this plane would eat you alive. I'm not sure that's true, by the way.
No,
He's like, I don't give a fuck who's on that plane. I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet. I'm Darius Grouch the Third, the Rumble, and I'm taking down the money plane. Now bring me my money.
That closing, you really went into character there at the end, man. I appreciate that. At first, you were reading with an uptone voice, but then you went into full Frasier Crane.
Yes.
That was admirable. Man. That was real good. But yeah, that scene is all of the Frasier stuff is glorious, right? Like, especially his closing, like his defiant last stand is also awesome when we get there. But the drone murders should not be understated or underestimated here. What happened to the lighting on this scene? Why was this scene suddenly like, impossible for me to view on my television?
I have no idea. It did get very dark very fast. And I was like, okay, maybe they just cut the lights out and the world to shoot this drone scene here to make it more suspenseful.
An underrated part of this is when they get the money and like Edge is trying to figure out what they should do. He's like, just spread it. And he's like, charities. And he just names like, he's so like
starving kids in Ethiopia or something.
Yeah, because generally these films have some kind of like moral compass. And I'm really proud to say this one doesn't. But I love that their attempt at it is like him just like half-heartedly naming 3 charities and being like, UNICEF, I don't know, do one of those, man. Just spread it out there. It's like $1 billion. He's just like, oh, I don't know.
They don't even do it. Like, they get the money and then they open the hatch. By the way, they open this hatch, and so you see the money fly. It's like it's just black. Like, usually when you open the hatch to a plane or something, like, you'll see, oh, you're up in the air, so you can kind of see everything going on. Like, it's just, when they're diving backwards out into, like, they're just diving into the abyss, it looks like. Like, where are these people going? But apparently they're getting off the plane, diving off of it. It's so, like, they couldn't have a green screen or something there that just makes it seem like, oh, yeah, they're going out into the air here. They're just going out into the abyss, which I appreciated more, by the way. Like, screw it. If you're going to be this dumb, be this dumb. So they just jumped into the abyss, and that's where the money went as well. I like how they said, oh, yeah, just spread it to different charities. And the way they spread it is, like, literally just toss it out of the plane. Like, this $1 billion will land on UNICEF somewhere.
Yeah, because they had, what was the situation? There was, like, some of the money was in a bank account, right? Because he said, like, we'll do it so it's not traceable or something. He had it on his like phone thing, that little techno, and then the rest of it was just in cash. So I don't know. I have no idea what they intended to achieve just dropping it out of a plane. Like, I have no clue. I guess it was better than nothing.
Here's the opening scene of Money Plane 2. It is money raining down in like a third world country. That's the opening scene of Money Plane 2, and people are like, where's this coming from? What's going on? And then, cut to the opening credits, and we're off on Money Plane 2.
Okay, that's strong. Can I suggest the fight scene for Money Plane 2?
Sure.
I want us to feature Randall Orton in Money Plane 2, and I want to feature a 45-minute fight in which Edge and Randall Orton brawl throughout the Money Plane. And that's, there's a scene in this where they like tell you all the different rooms in the plane.
Yeah.
They're like, there's a casino. Don't do that. Let's just have Edge and Randy just brawl through it and have someone sort of quietly observe, oh, that must be the casino, Oh, that must be the lounge. And then, I don't know how it ends. Like, I have no, I'm leaving that to you. You can book the finish. But I just want to be able to, I want to trust them in a different environment. I think they were limited by the performance center. I think a Money Plane would be much better suited to the kind of art they want to produce. That's what I would say.
I'm 100% on board. Look, it's only like an hour and 20-minute movie. So if we do 45 minutes of that just being a fight scene on the Money Plane between Edge and Orton, I feel like the rest of this movie would be pretty easy to fill in. Yeah. Here's the thing. We don't know that Frasier died, right? Because his defiant last stand is like, he shoots his associate, he grabs his gun, he's like, all right, ready. And then it just cuts to black. It's like Sopranos ending. For all we know, Frasier could be alive. So in Money Plane 2, we're bringing back Frasier. I mean, we have to. We can't do Money Plane 2 without... I like that they left that part open-ended, because if you do a Money Plane 2, you can 100% just bring him back and just be like, he got out. He's the baddest motherfucker on the planet. Why wouldn't he just shoot his way through all these people?
Yeah. Literally, you could just be like, he shot them all. He shot them all, and now he runs the Money Plane. That's what happens now.
Yes.
But what happened at the end of this film with Edge? What was the situation? There was something with
He
the
cut his
painting
hair.
or something.
He cut his hair. That's what happened at the end of the
What was the deal? There was something. There was a deal going on. Remember? Do you remember this, Jeremy? That his friend called him. And
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
they'll
His
pay
friend
you.
called him. They get the painting. I don't know, they get the painting that they were originally supposed to steal, and Harry calls them and is just like, "Oh yeah, here you go. Here's your retirement gift. It's like $60 million. Split it 4 ways." And Edge is like, "Well, I split it 5 ways because I guess he's gonna cut Harry in on this." And there you go.
Boom.
Then he's done. I don't know if they're doing another job or not, because the way they frame it is they make it sound like Edge is gonna do another job, but then he's also like super happy to just be with his wife and his kids. So I don't know if he's gonna do another job or not. He is though. Money Plane 2. We're getting him out of retirement. Yeah. He's gonna come back and he's gonna be good to go.
Should Randy Orton be like Harry and Edge's friend that they thought had died 25 years ago, and he's just back as Randy Orton? I don't know. This is my question for you. Or should he be like a new enemy? Should he be Frasier Crane's like new lead charge? Like I'm very. Why did Frasier Crane kill his associate? By the way, why? What was that? Why did he do that? I didn't understand.
It was dead weight. It was that was it. He was just dead. Frasier doesn't need help. All right, baddest motherfucker on the planet. The Rumble.
He did the full Scarface shot with the gun, dude. Oh, man. Frasier Crane, this was godly. This was absolutely amazing. Because, like, you naturally, when I saw the poster, which, by the way, the poster is 99% of the promotion for this film, really. Like, them Edge interviews do so much less than just the poster on its own. And, like, you kind of know, like, yeah, it's obviously going to be one of those deals where guys phone it in a little bit. That's fine. But like, Frasier's way of phoning this in was so over the top and extreme. It actually had the opposite effect. It seemed like he was having the best time of his life. Like, he would just, every scene he was in, you'd be like, I don't care about anyone else involved in this film other than this man talking to me right now. That's how good he was at being absurd in this film. It's amazing. You're 100% right. This is the best thing we've reviewed. Not just film-wise, but performance-wise. He is levels above. You're 100% right.
I don't feel like we've seen actors just, all right, it's a money grab. They're just going to do whatever. Sure, it could appear that way for Frasier. Frasier didn't take it that way. Frasier is like, all right, I see what's going on here. You know what? I'm going to give them exactly what they need in this film. And he delivers in spades.
Yes.
He was just absolutely amazing in this film. I still say it. Best performance we've reviewed by anyone on any film we've reviewed. He was godly.
Yes, he's so committed to just how dumb it is. Like, he's so all in. That scene, I slept on it, man. You nailed it. When you did your own performance of it, it really dawned on me how great it was. Like, it's because he's doing like a FaceTime call effectively. Yeah. Like, he's just staring directly down the camera and talking about he's the baddest motherfucker on the planet. It's so good.
And he does the I didn't do it because I didn't want it to mess up the audio or anything, but he slams the table as he's saying all this as well to like really give it that over top the effect. Like, this scene, you should watch this entire movie. This entire movie is fantastic, but particularly this scene is just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yes. And his closing scene, like we talked about, when he shoots the guy and he does the Scarface, all that stuff's fun. But like, his facials when he's aware that he's about to be attacked are insane, right? Like, he's like tremoring, he's looking around, shaking. It's fantastic. I mean, I would love to know, what do you think his combined runtime is in this film, Frasier Crane? Like, do you think he's actually in this more than 12 minutes? Because he may not be. I'm being honest.
I feel like he's in it at least 18 to 20 minutes, I would say. Maybe I'm wrong, but it did seem like, because there are a lot of cutbacks to him and stuff.
Yes, there are. Especially that dream scene, which is like him just sitting in a dark room with a cigar, like, I own you now. It's just, however long it is, it's the best part of this film. Yes. Like, if you're listening to this and are like vaguely interested and don't want to watch the whole thing, just anytime you see him on the screen, play. And then fast forward, play. Like, it's worth doing, though. I genuinely think he is that hilarious in this. And when you see his scenes, you get enough Edge to kind of make it a wrestling thing, right? Because as we said, Edge's best stuff here is when he is playing off of Frasier Crane, which of
I
course
mean, the
is.
majority,
Of
like
course it.
the majority of Frasier's scenes are with Edge. I'm not sure he really
Yes.
does a scene that's without Edge, outside of like brief moments or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, most of Frasier's scenes are with Edge. Um, anything else from this film?
I don't know. I like this film is 80 minutes, and I legit think we've touched on basically every scene of the film.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying like every scene I had some note to be like, okay, I need to remember to talk about this. Every time you think it's going to fall into a lull, it gets more insane. It's such a simple plot, but the concept is awesome enough to get you through it. Frasier Crane is glorious. Edge is fine, right? Edge is fun.
Yeah.
No issue with Edge. He basically plays at Edge, which is very interesting because he's a thief in this film. But nonetheless, he does, he does all the
that
Edge
is one
things
thing.
other than like the shiver cell.
That is one thing is I didn't think Edge was like believable at all as this like world class thief.
Yeah.
But whatever. Like I don't know what people were expecting from this. I saw people online mentioning like, "Oh yeah, I read the reviews and it got criticized because they were expecting like how can you go in expecting a film called Money Plane to be anything but just like absurd?" And if you thought it was going to be some high art film, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's something we're going to probably be talking about on Thursday in another,
Yes,
another way. But you got to know what you're getting yourself into. And if you approach it the right way, it's a lot of fun. If you go into it thinking it's going to be like a genuinely, I don't want to say genuinely good because that even feels disrespectful. Like, I enjoyed this. Like, I actually enjoyed it. I'm not just doing a podcast bit. But you know what you're getting yourself into. I do agree with you that Edge doesn't quite have like the slick style and look for the role, perhaps. But who cares, right? Because if it wasn't Edge, we never would have reviewed this film, and I never would have even seen it. So I accept Edge doing the wide-eye Edge things as a thief in this film. It's tremendous.
My favorite thing is like Edge in interviews. It's the same thing he did with like the Mania match. Is he and maybe this is why people got their expectations like, oh, this is gonna be like an actual good film or something. Is like Edge was 100% like selling this as like, oh, you got to see this film, like what we created here, like it's just magical, it's a masterpiece. And maybe he ruined the expectations for everyone else because he's probably like super proud of this and thinks this is like his big break into like Hollywood and everything. And I mean, maybe it is because his performance was fine, but it's not this, it's not Scarface, it's not The Godfather or anything like that.
Hang on, though.
It's Money Plane.
I'm totally accepting the descriptions of magical and masterpiece. I'll take that. Yes, I think that's described.
I agree. Yeah. But the way Edge sells it, he sells it like it is one of those films. Like it's just this like greatly acted film that like, oh, people are gonna remember in the history books as like a classic. It's like, no, people will, but not for the reasons you think they are. And that's kind of what you should be leaning into more than what you're actually leaning into.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one for actual critical acclaim, but a podcast like this it is literally designed for.
Yes.
And I'm about to prove that in my rating. Are we ready to do the ratings?
Yes, we are ready for the ratings. I have them pulled up here. All right, Joseph, what is your rating for Money Plane?
I'm about to make history. I think you know where I'm going with this. Short runtime, hilarious acting, concept that will make me laugh until the day I die. Insane violence that comes out of nowhere, brutal, hard cut to a man being punched in the face. This is a full 10 out of 10. I'm going for it. We will never top this as far as podcast content. We legitimately spoke about nothing but like just only the film for almost an hour. We never do that. We usually go off on tangents and do this and that. This film was special in terms of podcast content. It deserves the full 10 from me.
I gave Suburban Commando 7 stars. That's my highest rating, 7 stars, Suburban Commando. I'm gonna look. No one knows my scale. They don't know how many stars I actually rate on. 15 stars for Money Plane. 15 stars, Joseph.
Wow.
There was nothing bad about this movie. There was nothing bad about it. I don't have a single negative thing to say about this movie. Like I can't say like fell off a cliff, this performance wasn't great, this really took me out of it. Nothing. This whole film is a masterpiece.
I agree. I can't argue with it. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I can't. You need to now make like a chart with just your ratings, just to see how hilarious it looks where Money Plane is to the rest of them. They'd all be bunched up and there'd be Money Plane here. You need to do it, but I can't look. It's just special. It's a special piece of art. This is 80 minutes. You never have a time to even take a moment off, do you? You're just watching awesomeness from start to finish. Great stuff.
The only thing I could like minorly complain about is I wish we just had like more scenes with Denise Richards, because I think she could have delivered some great lines, and she just wasn't utilized all that much. She should have been the Edge's instead of his wife. She should have been on his team to help steal them stuff. But otherwise, and look, that's a minor complaint, because the lady who did that role was like actually good at that role and delivering the violence and stuff. I wanted Denise Richards there for like the comedy aspect. The person who was in that role was like actually good in that role. So I can't knock that. It was a masterpiece. It was perfect. More than perfect. I give it 15 stars.
Wow, 15, man.
Yeah.
That's like a G1 final at the Tokyo Dome. It's never been seen before. Insanity. You can't. Like last week, it was last week? It was a Carmella title defense with a James Ellsworth finish. This blows that away, man. This is different level. It's my pick next week, right, Jeremy?
It is your pick for next week.
I've seen some campaigning for this. I'm going to give the people what they want. It's a film I have never seen. I'm aware it's quite iconic. We're going with They Live.
Okay.
Next week's film.
I promised that if you didn't pick it for next week, I was going to pick it the following week. So now I do have my pick for the following week. I've never seen They Live in full either. I've seen the fight scene, but that's it. I've not seen the full movie. So I'm excited for this. Look, a lot to live up to after Money Plane. And I'm not sure I could do it. I honestly feel bad for They Live, because it's following Money Plane, and that's just not where you want to be right now. Like, it's just not.
I definitely think it's my best shot at like just getting on the scale though, by comparison. You know, like I think this was not the time for me to go with Miz's other Christmas film, which I'm aware happened. Whoever tweeted us that, thank you, because I couldn't believe 2 weeks ago there was one Christmas Miz film. Now I know there's two. So this is a whole world that we're going to enter next July, obviously, to be clear. But I think this is my best shot to kind of keep it respectable as a follow-up, and then after that we can return to truly awful stuff. But for now, little bit of quality here in July. Impressive. It's
amazing how many films there are with like wrestlers. I didn't realize there were this many. Like you mentioned that there's another Miz Christmas movie. Our friend Tape Machines, he watched a war movie with like Rob Van Dam and Steven Seagal. And I was like, oh my God, we've got to watch this. Sean mentioned a movie to me as well that's got like 3 different wrestlers in it. He's like, you gotta watch this. It's like, okay, like at some point we'll get to it. I was like, I did not realize there were this many movies out there.
Has Tape Machine's done a thread on this film or not?
He has watched it, because when I told him I was watching it last night, we were talking about it. I don't know if he's done a full thread on it though. If he has, I'll tell him to link me to it so I can go back and review his thoughts. But he was the one who was like, yeah, if you're expecting like what you're expecting, it's great. If you think it's anything other than that, then you're gonna be disappointed. I was like, no, I know what I'm getting into, and it fully delivered. Yeah, now I'm desperate for him to actually do a Twitter thread, so hopefully he does that. If you watch the show and don't follow him, don't know what you're doing. It's a bad decision, right? Because we're pretty bad at this. He achieves more with like 4-word captions than we just did with an hour. So do that. That's his @ right? Tape Machines. I'm correct in saying that. Yeah. So do that, and hopefully we can steal more films from his feed. Because Rob Van Dam in a war film is, because I saw the picture of him doing. He was doing the army theatre for me, and I was like, okay, duly noted. That one's gonna be for the future, definitely. I thought it was Jean-Claude Van Damme at first when I saw like the poster, and Tape Machines even says like the Van Damme stands for Rob, and I thought he was just like doing a bit. I was like, no, Rob Van Dam's not in this movie. But then he had pictures of Rob Van Dam in this movie. I was like, oh my God, okay, then we have to review this film at some point.
It's actually a solid play. Like, I wonder how many people pick that off like the side of the store, you know, like, oh, Van Damme, cool. And then there's Rob doing the Van Daminator with a gun in his hand. Tremendous. Yeah, we'll definitely get around to that. 100%.
Next week is They Live, so we will have to We'll review that with starring Roddy Piper. That's who's in that movie, right? Roddy Piper.
Yes. Yes.
Roddy Piper. They Live. I think that's it for today. We'll be back on Thursday. Big episode on Thursday. We look back at the horror show at Extreme Rules, Impact Slammiversary. Big double turn. Joseph's mother reviewing the swamp fight, which I don't know what to expect from that, but I'm expecting it to be my expectations might be too high. But
yes,
it's the pressure is on your mom to deliver
yeah.
a great review.
I'm not going to frame it that way to her. I don't think. I'm going to be like, yeah, the pressure's on. You better see how much this swamp fight, okay? Get your notepad out and be ready. But yeah, I understand people expect a certain level of analysis now.
Yes.
So I will be hoping to bring that this Thursday on what is clearly the biggest show of the Distractions year. Would you agree with that, Jeremy? I think we can say that now. The tickets are sold. It's
yes. There. I mean, look, this has been, the double turn has been compared to bigger than Brett and Austin. People have compared it to that. They said it's bigger than Brett and Austin. So if you were like, oh my God, Brett and Austin, monumental moment in wrestling history, we're about to top that. We're about to top that on Thursday.
Who am I in that? Because I'm turning babyface here, right? Spoiler alert, I shouldn't, we should get to that Thursday. We'll get to this Thursday, that's my fault. Big turn on coming. My mother is not involved in the turn, I'll make it clear. She has not been established as a character in Distraction Universe to be turned one way or the other. That'll be decided on Thursday, whether she's babyface or heel. Time will tell. But yes, this Thursday, big show.
Saturday is the TEW series. I'm doing the SmackDown post-SmackDown review shows every Friday now. Sean has somehow conned me into watching SmackDown and taking notes for it. And what a mistake that is after one show. I'm just kidding. It's a fun time. So you can catch me. I do 4 podcasts on Fightful now, Joseph. 4. Why do people listen to me this much? Do something better with your life, everybody.
You have the ball in your hands, man. You're like I said it all along. I'm here. I provide some shooting off the bench. And there's some playoff games where I'm needed. I'm going to play 30 minutes. But you got to understand, Jeremy, that's not your role. You got the ball in your hands. Sometimes Sean just says, close the game. Pass it. That's what you're there for. I did see your incredible representation of our podcast on the SmackDown review, in which you uncovered some kind of insane stat nugget which only a Distraction star could do. I was very, very proud of that. So yeah, Friday, don't watch SmackDown, watch Jeremy and Sean review it, is my suggestion.
I agree.
That's what I may do now moving forward. I mean, before I just didn't watch it, but now I have someone to review it. Much easier for me.
Follow Joe on Twitter at JoeHulbert5. He wrote features on Apollo Crews and Nikki Cross this past week. An Apollo Crews feature really held up this week, Joe.
Yes, it did. I am now a full WWE stan on Twitter, so don't come at me with criticism of the brand. Everything is good. Television has changed and business is up. Follow me on Twitter.
Joe will have features this week on Apollo Crews in part 2. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Lambert 88. We'll be back on Thursday with the biggest show in Distraction history.